Group D, the mid group of the Midwest, Chicago, Sporting KC, and Toluca. Wow. Can't
Wow,
wait for
I love Toluca from the Midwest.
these are MLS themed titles. So leave me be. Like at Chicago, SKC, and if you look at where Mexico is on a map, they're pretty Midwest.
Something like that.
So
That's a stretch.
yeah, I'm gonna look up a map. You tell me where they're playing games and who are some new players in the team.
All right, so the SKC Chicago game is going to be played at Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City. Toluca versus Chicago is going to be at SeatGeek Stadium in Chicago. And then Toluca SKC is going to be at Children's Mercy Park in KC. So that's two home games for KC, one for Chicago, and zero for Toluca. In terms of big signings, summer 2024, sorry, winter 2024. Chicago, we talked about it. Hugo Kuiper's coming in, big money signing to bring in a striker from Ghent. SKC, I gave him a not applicable. I don't think they really had any big signings over the summer. Brought in only a couple of players, and I don't know if I'd classify any of them as big signings. And then for Toluca, I've gone for Federico Pereira, who came over from Liverpool in Uruguay, not England. He's a young defender who I think has good potential with this team. And then for big signings in the summer window thus far, got an NA for Chicago and SKC. No big signings so far from them. For Toluca, I've gone for Paulinho. He is, I believe, a striker, at least an attacker, coming over from Sporting in Portugal. And he has hit the ground running so far.
I can confirm to you that Toluca, SKC, and St. Louis all share the same time zone. So mid group of the Midwest
Close enough.
stands.
Close enough.
uh, Chicago, a team that probably should drop their manager, like many of the teams that we've spoken about already. Frank Klopas has them in 13th out of 15th, which at this point is probably a little bit better than they used to do, right? They used to be 14th or 15th, so progress.
Improvement.
They're the third least goals scored in the conference, and they need a lot of help. As you mentioned, they're not bringing much in. However, they did top their Leagues Cup group last year before being bounced by America in the first round. I think this is going to be a big challenge for them. But who are you watching? What team? What players are you watching? There are a couple good ones.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going with an obvious one again, but I'm going with Brian Gutierrez. I feel like every season we are slowly talking about him continuously improving upon his game and starting to become more and more likely to make that jump over to Europe. And honestly, I think he can make that jump almost at any time at this point. I'm sure there's teams that are interested in him. I think he's proven enough. And I know Chicago has been disappointing this year, but in terms of goal contributions, he's already on his best pace for his career so far. No, not counting second assists, he's got 5 goals, 3 assists so far. Eight goal contributions already matches his best, which was from last season. And there's still plenty more games to play. So he's seemingly going to be on his best goal contributions so far in his career. And I think a competition like Leagues Cup can be a great opportunity for him to break out and show the potential that we've seen many times with him.
Yeah. Again, I knew you were taking the curveball, so I'm going with a more interesting watch, and that's Chris Brady. There's all this talk about how he should have been in the Olympics team and he should have been called up to the U20s. I don't think he's been that impressive this year. And I might get canceled for that. I doubt it because there are like four Chicago Fire fans out there. But seriously, I, as a goalkeeper myself, have not been super impressed. I think he makes a ton of really acrobatic saves, but he makes a lot of really young kid errors too. They concede a ton of goals, and they don't score many, so they need to be defensively sound, and that starts with the goalkeeper, right? He just barely got into the positive realm of the PSXG plus minus stat. That barely got him into the top 30 in the league. There are 29 teams. I'd like to see him increase that to be at least top 5 or top 15 rather, to be like a top MLS goalkeeper who should be in the youth national teams and getting transfers. Like, he's been okay, not great. And again, maybe that's up to his defense, and maybe that's up to a whole bunch of things, but he himself has not shown me what I should be impressed with. So I'd like to see that from him. And since I know he
Um,
listens to the pod, like I know that'll hit home with him. So
for sure, for sure. I'll mention it after we finish the group.
Okay, well, let's go then to Sporting KC. Now, let me tell you. Stop me if you heard this one before. Peter Vermees is in his 1 millionth season. He started off terribly with SKC and is racing for one of the last playoff spots in the league with a really mid roster. Sound familiar? Because that's
All
what's
too
happening
familiar.
again. They currently sit 12th, 7 points off the playoffs, and one game played more than everybody else. In Leagues Cup last season, they were embarrassed by a team currently now in their group, Toluca, 4-1 in the first round. Yeah, just this team, just another one. Like that's why I said it's just the mid group in the Midwest, right? They all just do the same thing. It's been the same thing for a decade. Like, be different, be better.
Yeah, at least Chicago has like a couple of exciting players, even if they're not playing well. But oh, sorry, I know I may get heat for that, but like I don't see a lot of exciting players on SKC.
Yeah,
But one
tell me,
player
tell me who you're. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. Tell me who you're watching. Go ahead.
yeah, one player I am watching though is someone that you've boasted very highly before, and that is Willie Agata.
Oh my guy,
I think you were just too early on the golden boot shout. Who knows? I think his time could still be coming.
story of my life. How many times have I picked somebody to do something and then the year after it's a breakout year?
Yeah,
Been there, done that.
you should plan for that. So
Yeah,
just
but do a
take a look.
3 year do a 3 year analysis. Yeah,
Yeah, just repeat all your predictions from the season prior.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, in terms of a pretty poor SKC group, he has been pretty solid in the attack. 8 goals, 2 assists in about 1,200 minutes. And I think he's done a good job filling in for the lack of goal scoring from Pulido this season, who's been pretty disappointing with 1,500 minutes and only 4 goals so far. So if Agata gets the game time, which I feel like he has lately, then I think we could definitely see some good scoring from him because he's got that ability for sure to score in bunches. I mean, we saw it when he first came over. Him and Eric Tommy were tearing it up for SKC.
Oh yeah. Hence why I picked him for Golden Boot. And then he decided, and again, it's my fault, right? It's the curse. As
True.
soon as I pick somebody to do something half decent, play bad, get hurt. You only get two options, but there's never a third option where you're like actually good. So again, yeah, perfect example. Who MVP last year? Ricky Pooge. Who's playing at an MVP level right now? Ricky Pooge. Who did I not pick to be MVP this year? Ricky Pooge.
Ricky Puig isn't going to win MVP.
Oh, stop
What do you mean stop it? This is a different discussion. Let's not get off
it.
topic.
I again went with the youth, keep an eye on sort of vibe, and that is with Jake Davis. Starting as an outside back, has been flexed into the midfield due to injuries and suspensions and things like that. He was listed as an Olympics alternative or alternate, if you will. He is the absolute king of screamers from distance, and I would love to see him elevate his profile in this tournament with like 3 or 4 just absolute rockets. But every time I stopped doing it recently because we started work, but when I used to make those top 5 goals of the week, every third week he's in there with like a goal from 35 yards. I'm like, okay, go off. But yeah, that's my guy to watch. I think it's again, I think it's really good that we have a balance where you're like, watch this guy who's really good, and I'm like, watch this guy who could be really good. I like that balance.
Yeah, see, we're a good match.
Aw,
Um,
are you proposing? No,
Definitely not.
no. Buy me dinner first. Let's move on to Toluca because we are so far into this and not even far at all. Um, Toluca is our next team. They are third place in Clausura last season and currently third in the Apertura. This is going to be a really good team for this group. 6 goals for and only 2 against in the last 3 games. They're in a really good place under manager Renato Paiva, who took over before the start of last Clausura and turned them into a very, very solid team. Last year, they made the round of 16 in Leagues Cup, and they went on to lose in PKs to Minnesota. Who are you watching?
I'm going the younger route in this
Ooh.
case, and I'm going to go with Marcel Ruiz, 23-year-old midfielder for them, who played a ton for them last season. Isn't huge in terms of the box score and getting goals and assists. I think he only had 2 goals, 4 assists last season, but this year again, playing, he started every game so far. I believe he has 1 assist so far. I think when I looked up his rating on SofaScore, it was also pretty strong as well. So I think he's doing a lot of the little things that don't show up in the box score. He is the third highest valued player on transfer market on the team. probably because of how young he is, but I think there's good potential there with him, and I'll be keeping an eye on seeing what he could do.
Well, it's interesting. You picked the third highest valued player. I
Hmm.
picked the first, Maximiliano Araujo, a 24-year-old left winger who played every single game for Uruguay at the Copa America. This dude is just absolutely on a rocket ship to the top levels. He's only got one appearance so far in this season, but at Copa America, he had 2 goals, 1 assist in 6 appearances. I mean, he didn't score against America, so washed, right? But you know, he's going to have a huge impact on this attack. They're going to go down that side constantly. I'm sure of it. And let's be frank about it. These are two really bad MLS defenses. He's going to torch these. So while we do that, let's talk predictions. What do you got?
I've got an easy Toluca at one. I think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I think they could be a dark horse in this entire tournament. But
Ooh.
easy Toluca at one for me. I've got SKC at two because I like the fact that they have the double home game. And then I've got Chicago at three. It's hard for me to separate Chicago and SKC, so I just went with the team that had the extra home game, giving them that little boost.
Yeah. I mean, mine very similar, right? I put Toluca at one, far and away the better group of the better team in the group. I've got Chicago at two. I don't know why, but every time it comes down to these like scrappy 3 team groups where you need one result to get in, they always find a way to get one of. Like I said, they topped their group last year, and I feel like if you put them in like tight moments, I think they'll find a way to figure it out just for that one thing, and then they'll get smashed in the first round. But and then I got SKC at three because Willie gotta hurt me once. I won't let him hurt me again.
All right, so SKC through confirmed.
SKC top of the group. Willie got us 6 goals in 2 games,
Exactly.
all
Thank you.
against Chicago. Doesn't play against Toluca.
Hook it to my veins.